everyone. I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and talk show host of Let's Get Down to Business. Let's Get Down to Business is an educational talk show that features top registered investment advisors, registered representatives, and insurance professionals in their area of expertise. And I'm honored to team up with them and help educate and train financial professionals watching our show. Education is a key to maintain a successful practice, but generating local leads helps build out your business. So with me today on the set of the Society for Financial Awareness is the founder and CEO, Jim Chilton. Welcome to the interview, Jim.
Thanks, Steve. It's great to be back.
I have to say I'm very enthusiastic about this interview because I've been in the business for 35 years. I've seen a lot of lead generation systems online, especially as online the last 7-8 years became big. There are a lot of things out on the street. I've never seen, in my view, this is extremely unique, really innovative. And I want us to get a lot out of this webinar today because I think this is going to be huge for some people. It could change their practice. Now, when we're talking about how you develop this, you were just yourself. You were a financial advisor.
That's right.
You were
Still am.
Still are. And so now my question to you is, how did you start? Why did you come up with this? How did you start with this? When did you do it? And how did you field test this yourself? Because I know you're kind of guy, you're going to do the beta before you send this out.
That's exactly right. 1992, I came to a realization after complaining to my wife over and over, how do you have 5 kids go to the #1 school district in California? #1 school district, not 27th, 109, the ace, the best. And they completely eliminated or didn't put in as a core curriculum financial literacy. Yet core curriculum, as we both talk about and have in the past, it's life skills. How do you eliminate life skills dealing with money? It's insane. So finally on date night, one night, my wife says, I'm sick of hearing about this. Why don't you grab the bull by the horns and do something about it? And I did. And being a third generation San Diego, it was pretty easy. I knew a lot of people. I got in through a lot of contacts and started doing these workshops. And we'll talk about 404C a little bit later, but started pointing out to the HRs, didn't even know what it was. And so got into a lot of these companies, and then I realized this is great. I'm one on group. And what was even greater is, and I didn't know it at the beginning, but instead of being the host, where like the dinner workshops, people spend all this money, you know, $4,000 to $8,000 doing everything. I was the guest. I was the invited guest. So I would go into churches and be, you know, introduced by the lead pastor or priest or rabbi. I would go into these different companies and the HR person would come in and introduce me. And there in the room were the employees sitting there. I got into civic groups and organizations like Kiwanis and Rotary and Chamber of Commerce. And I started realizing one on group is the most powerful way to do it.
Well, let's take your main one because HR, almost all big companies have human resource services. Even small companies of 50, 60 have it.
Correct.
Okay. How did you come up with the idea that I need to not only go to human resources, but what's the issue with using Section 404C to do it?
Yeah, you and I, in one of our previous talks, you'd made a comment that the guys, you know, it's like kryptonite.
Right.
And I'm going, it's cake. Okay, the biggest thing you got to remember is that, and I'm not picking on Fidelity, it could be Edward Jones or anyone.
Sure.
When they come in as a third-party provider, a third-party administrator for the 401k as an example, okay? The minute their rep is talking about now's the time to get out of bonds and get into global growth or whatever they're selling. 404C says the information, 2 points, non-proprietary and generic, okay? And guess what SOFA was? Everything about what we do is non-proprietary, generic. So when we started doing that, do you remember those old brick red folders with the string on the 2 tabs? Well, I would put on there 404C/SOFA and give it to you as an HR person as a gift and say, have you ever had a spot audit? Well, no. Well, you will. Because when they come in, they're going to go through all those requirements, you know, and you're going to pull out your Fidelity stuff or whatever. and they're going to write you up. Okay, and you have to understand that if the market goes down with your employees, Steve, you and your company is the fiduciary, not the fidelity guy or gal. Do you get that? Okay, so we gave them a copy of our seminar material. We gave them the sign-up sheet.
And you supply all this information?
We provided that to them.
Section 404C is not a big deal.
Not at all.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and if you've made it a big deal, it's because you're unfamiliar with it. So once we got in there, birds of a feather flocked together. The other HR people started nominating us. And so I went through San Diego for one entire year by myself, field testing it in every possible way.
All right, I want you to talk about that. I want to ask you about this.
Sure.
You use this term, and I love it, by the way.
Yeah.
Nomination versus referral.
Oh, absolutely.
Huge issue. Tell me about that.
Well, a referral is, let's use these cups. Okay. Fred Flintstone is my client. Okay. And he says that his buddy, Steve Savant, and his wife are kind of having difficulties a little bit in their marriage over money. You know what I'm saying? And so Fred gives me Steve's name and number. That's a referral. It's a cold call with a little bit of a commonality of a link with a phone number. So I say to Fred, Fred, I'm honored to be your friend and your advisor. But I want to ask you a couple of questions. Have you ever had a call from a salesperson exactly at the wrong time in your day or at night, and that your anxiety meter goes right to red? I mean, you're pissed. That's the last thing you need as a salesman on the phone. He goes, well, yeah. I go, so have I. I don't ever want to be in that boat. You have something with Steve, and I will call him, but you have something with Steve that I don't have. You have a relationship. A relationship. You talk to your buddy. You recommend me and my work of what I do. And if he feels comfortable based on the relationship that you two guys have of trust, you with me? You let me know, I'll call Steve up.
No, that's a referral.
Well, a referral is if I would have just made a cold call using Fred's name. A nomination is when he promotes me to you. And you go, he's really good? Oh yeah, have him call me. So I call you, Steve, you don't know me, I'm Jim Chilton. I work with Fred and Wilma Flintstone. And you go, you're the guy Fred was talking about. Yeah, we got to meet. Well, once I established that in my coaching, the difference between a nomination and a referral, where do you think our SOFA members get 99% of the keys to unlock the door to where that person worships, belongs to, and works at? They are the door openers for us to get in because they have a personal relationship with the executive pastor, the HR person, or the chapter president of the local Lions Club. And that's how we get in.
Okay, so really when you think about this, the HR person is going out because they're covering their 404C issues, right? They got to cover it themselves. They're liable.
Yeah.
They go out to their employees. They say, we're going to have this session, this meeting. They're covering everything. You just have to show up and do a great job of instruction and education. Now, but let me ask you this. Some of your guys never did seminars, came to SOFA, looked at your tutorial for 404C compliance, and were able to get up in front of people that they didn't have to pay for. There was no food to buy, no facility to get. They got up and they're doing a job, even though they would never qualify themselves as a platform speaker.
Correct.
See, to me, that's astonishing.
We have in our training program, and I embellish it in our coaching program. It's called COAST. It's an acronym, and it's for that new member of concentrating on a successful talk. And the whole purpose of SOFA's talk is for our members to get leads. The second most important thing is for the audience to be entertained. Okay? So we emphasize that individuality of him not sitting there getting splinters on the dais, petrified, or death by PowerPoint. We want them to take a topic that they're very familiar with and share it. And we get a 60 to 65% response rate. from those people that want to come in and see us.
Now, you just said about these topics. I'm looking at your list. This is a huge list.
Yeah.
And these are all done, ready to go. So you have, I'm looking here, about 24 topics.
We have 31.
31 topics.
As of now.
Those topics are already done, ready to go. Does he have to do, he doesn't have to create a PowerPoint? He doesn't do any of this?
Not at all.
No. See, this to me is huge because it's already to go. You've already done the compliance issues. And now, on a big piece of SOFA, besides this unique way of getting in front of people at such a low cost, acquisition cost, which I think is the biggest thing. Don't forget what I'm talking about on that. But this issue of coming from a nonprofit organization that's doing this. Why did you choose nonprofit status to run this platform on? Because I thought that was a genius move as far as selecting an entity.
Easy. When you think of a salesperson, unless you have built a relationship with them, the last thing you want is a salesperson in your face.
Right.
Okay? So a salesperson, it correlates connecting the dot to a product. And then the product is a push, and then the push is a sale or an annoyance. Okay? I have no idea. I'm the same Jim Chilton when I walk into Qualcomm, but the fact that I'm a member of a nationwide non-profit educational speakers bureau, we're a public benefit corporation. And when that gets out there, sainthood becomes, it just happens. And so we're treated a lot different. And all of our workshops are informational, they're educational, it's generic. We're not selling annuities, we're not selling life insurance, we're not selling securities, we're selling planning. We hold the audience accountable for their future.
Okay, now, so the nonprofit status really takes away any of the kind of defensive mechanism that an HR person or maybe a head of a church or a community organization like the Lions Club, it really diffuses a lot up front.
Yes, but speaking of upfront, what we do encounter, which is I think built into us from our DNA from the caveman days, is skepticism and cynicism. And one of the greatest things when you join SOFA is we already have a track record of over 9,000 places where we've spoken at across the country and continue to get invited back in. So when someone says, well, you know, I get the altruistic part, you know, and I understand it helps my employees and this and that and the other, but surely you're not doing this for free. And I go, oh no, we're totally supported and funded by our members' dues. Oh, well, that's how you guys make your money. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And that's where your dues goes. Okay, so when we pop that pimple, so to speak, right up front, smooth sailing.
Now, you just you came up with something, and I want to go to the board here for a moment, and I want to look at this. And this is just a small handful. I can't get everything on the board here. I'm just talking about the ones I could get on the board. These are people. Now, I just want to make sure everybody understands this. 501c3. We have all the tutorials. Doesn't have to do anything. I'm going to use the HR as the example.
Sure.
And 404c is totally conquerable information, easy to understand. But here's the big thing that blew my mind. There's some major players on this list. And let's just go to Disney right away. Tell me about the Disney story. That is a great story.
Well, we had a gal, Barbara Jordan, and she lived up in Hollywood. And she had a roommate of a lady who worked at Disney. So when she was in her training, she wanted to work her talk on her roommate just to practice. And the lady said, is this for real? Oh, yeah. I mean, all the girls sit around and talk at lunch, and they don't know squat about how to handle their money and this and that. And, you know, Dolores, she works over in HR. If I could get a meeting set up, Barbara, would you go in there? So this was a 1-week rookie, not a platform speaker at NAFA. You with me?
Yeah, just got her gear.
She just went in and started talking about it, and the lady loved it. So the executive vice president of Disney and HR in Hollywood met with her and said, well, this is great. So she spent a couple of years doing workshops in there, which then led to the theme parks, which then led to Orlando, which then led to the hotel staffing, and we're still working with Disney. And that's one example. You know, we're here in Phoenix. My good buddy, Jerry Gutman, one of his first ones was Lockheed Martin. He calls me up and he says, how'd you like to get into Lockheed Martin? He goes, I've been in here now for 3 months, and the lady in HR wants to know why we're not doing it in San Diego. So I did Lockheed Martin for like 9 years.
Now, when you're talking about the HR is supplying all the facilities, the people to come into I'm doing nothing but after I've made the relationship.
Let's slow this down, because for those of you that are out there doing workshops, God bless you, I think that's great. But let's get to the cost of this stuff. Okay, you feed them, you rent the room, you do postage, you get a telephone solicitor, then the follow-up, and you do all of that, and then you basically go to church 30 minutes before you go in there when you're in your car praying that you're, first of all, you're trying to get all your money back that you've already spent. With SOFA, we go to where they're at. We are the invited guest. We don't have an outlay. We're the invited guests. We go in there usually at lunchtime. Okay? So you eat while we deliver. And we go into a beautiful conference room. And it's there. And the HR promotes it. We have flyers everywhere. You know, they have it on the computer messaging. Northrop Grumman's one of the best of those. And then we call in 3 weeks, 2 weeks, and 1 week before for our head count. Okay? So when you go in to do one of these workshops, you don't have all those expenses. You're the guest, not the host.
Now, when we go there, we're doing, of course, I love the cost acquisition here. It's just huge. But now it's interesting because you have a certain percentage. Once you have a nomination by an HR representative and you've spoken and you're anywhere in the game of articulation, not to be a great homiletic speaker, but if let's say you're just in the game, we're going to get leads. People are going to go one-on-one with you. Talk about that.
It's great. We get a 60 to 65% response rate. So for every 10, we get 6 or 7 people that want to come and see us right off the bat. So you start getting 30, 40, 50 people in a room. Like when I did Qualcomm for 13 years, I was averaging about 75 people a room. And they have 17 buildings. I did the same talk 17 times before I go to another talk. Then on top of that, we have a program where you build a team that we've talked about. So I'm the financial advisor. You're the estate planning attorney. Margot is the accountant. We bring in a realtor, a mortgage broker, health and wellness. All of those people join SOFA. They go through the training and coaching. They go out through their people, through their natural market, their nominations. Okay? Now think about that. You're out there, you talk about leads. Let's say I have a full day. Let's say I have 7 appointments in my office. Without SOFA, who's really representing me? Maybe a little bit of word of mouth, couple of referrals. I can get a phone call at the end of the day and the guys on my team might have already locked up this place or gone into the San Diego Gas and Electric or gone into General Dynamics, these monstrous companies, and they got in through their people. Then when they go do their workshops, I follow. When I'm done with my workshops, my teammates, they follow.
How many of your representatives or advisors have taken your thinking behind what you've just said and actually formed a team?
Oh, many.
Many of them.
We're nationwide, Steve. We've got a group in Columbus.
I guess I thought I was a little glaucoma in my thinking here. You know, I was thinking, hey, we're just talking advisors, but actually this is expanded into other areas of expertise. It's just not ours.
Let me ask you this. You're an estate planning attorney and you're averaging 3 wills or 3 trusts a month. Okay? And you find out about this, you can be in a room full of people who want to be there and learning about wills and trusts. You're a realtor. And you're going in there to talk to a bunch of first-time home buyers that are sitting there. You with me? Yep. You're an accountant. and you want to get into about tax law changes. I'm a financial advisor, and I want to talk to pre-retirees that 3 years out, they're done. I can target market my talk. Now, let's say that those people come to see you as an accountant. I've already trained you what to look for when you're doing the, the fact finder of letting them know why they need to see Jim for their retirement planning. Or you're a realtor and you've already coached me on what to look for somebody to wants to move to another house.
So by building a team, you really have cross-pollination.
Totally.
And you're going to be getting into places that maybe that person had a better access than you did, and all of a sudden you're just coming off his tail, basically.
Oh, absolutely. One of the greatest things I'll always remember in my second year of SOFA, because remember the first year was not SOFA. It was just learning how to do it. And then we made it official in 93. So in 94, at the end of the year, I had a little gal working for me. Her name was Rosalie Martin. We had 79 seminars set up for the first quarter of the new year. And I had a room full of agents. And I remember watching these guys scrambling, coming back from the holidays, trying to get their momentum going. And here the boss had 79 workshops. I mean, I was doing workshops every day. It was phenomenal. I was drinking out of a fire hose. So the idea of having other people doing what you're doing and they're on your team that are opening doors that you don't even have to go out and see, or I'm getting into some place and I call you up and I go, next month, how's the 15th look? They need a guy to come in there, Steve. You know what I mean? So if you know your numbers, I mean, you really know how many people you average a week, seen, not scheduled, but seen. Can you imagine if SOFA brought you an additional 5 or 6 people a week, a qualified prospect that wants to see you week after week?
Now you have the materials and support for this. I mean, you're actually, some guys are co-branding with SOFA. They have business cards that say SOFA.
Oh, we have all the branding. We do all
the
of
support,
that.
all
it's
of that.
included.
Right.
It's totally included.
Now, and also I noticed that you are really one of the most hands-on CEOs I've ever seen. You're into the one-on-one. You come in, you actually want to talk to the guy.
Absolutely.
So if you're watching and you say, Steve, I'm interested in what you and Jim are talking about, you'll be talking to Jim, not me, not any one of his team. For the first time, the one-on-one, he wants you to make sure you get it. And I don't see that very often.
Well, it's the sign of the times. Of course, we're online training. Okay. But I made a commitment about 8 years ago that I'm not interested in the pedal pullers. She loves me not. I'll try SOFA 1 month. If not, I won't spend for the people that sign up and give me a year commitment of their life to do SOFA. That is the key to getting into Jim's coaching program. And I will build a friendship with you. I will walk you through. You will be on my cell phone 7/24. You will call me. You'll ask me, I'm stuck. What do I do? How do I do it? And that is phenomenal enjoyment for me, because we have people all over the United States that are getting in. You know what the greatest line there is, Steve? Guy calls you and says to me, you won't believe it. No, he was the one that didn't believe it, and now he got in. We got in. Where's NASA? Do we have NASA on the board? Guess we don't. We got in at NASA, and they were laying off like 3,000 engineers down in Florida and Mississippi and Alabama. And they interviewed, all these companies came down for the rollover business. Okay? The lady said she gained 15 pounds being wined and dined. SOFA got it. You know why? Our nonprofit status, our educational material, and the fact that we're educating versus selling. You talked at one of our interviews before that this movement of becoming a professional financial educator versus an advisor, it's an old word, but boy, it brings new meaning. And we do this.
I think this is, and this is just my 2 cents. I didn't rehearse this next part with Jim, but in the light and the shadow of the new DOL and its imposition on our business, being an educator of the public and doing this altruistic issue, bringing literacy and education to the public mindset. I think this is going to become the new boilerplate for insulating your practice. You're speaking generically. You're not selling, you're educating. I think that could be a major tool in your kind of your interaction with the DOL.
Yeah, I get asked, well, what about this fiduciary rule? I go, great, that's number 2. No, it's number 2. Us working out into the public and putting our career on the line, giving back to people, helping them reach. So you got to remember, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care about them. And so, Steve, when you combine SOFA and our mission of helping people get to their financial goals through this altruistic way, it's great. And the leads never stop.
Okay, so we've talked about it. Now let's talk about some hard subscription numbers, the things we want to talk about. But just to review, 501c3, that in itself has its intrinsic marketing value. I can see it totally. Having an HR nominate you instead of you looking for a referral, huge idea. Having the facilities taken care of. I don't have to do anything but show up and do it. And you have 30 different topics. All I have to do is look through it. You have all the material done. It's totally turnkey. I just want to match up my area of expertise with one of these topics.
And the teammates. Don't forget the teammates. See, one of the things that I've always wondered about, and I'm kind of self-deprecating, but you know, just because you make a lot of money in what you're doing, you're successful, doesn't mean you're an expert. Look at the financial decisions many doctors make. They're disasters.
Right.
Because they went to medical school for half their life. They know every answer, but they don't. And they prove it with some of the bonehead purchases they've made, right? So we line up in front of that HR. They get it. I'm sitting here talking to you and go, you know, I'm going to handle the financial issues. I'm going to have a realtor come in and talk about investment property, first-time homeowners. I'm going to have a mortgage broker come in and talk about these new mortgages that have evolved, you know, from the 2008 bust. Okay, we're going to bring in a health and wellness person and correlate, connecting the dots about getting not only physically fit, but fiscally fit and tying those together. We're going to bring in an estate planning attorney. So you're not going to have just a sales guy come in and try to be all things to all people. And it brings tremendous excitement because each speaker, I mean, you know this better than I do. You have all these guests. You know, my hand's been moving the whole time. Some guys just sit here, you know, they're stiffs. And other guys, to bring in different speakers is an entertainment value. No work for the HR. You with me? And they're reliable. And they've all signed their bylaws. No selling. No charging at the door. All information is non-proprietary and generic. When you put that package together before the HR, well, we just got back from 3 weeks ago of the SHRM conference. Now, the SHRM, Society of Human Resource Management, was the national conference. 17,000 HR people. In 3 days, we walked out of there with 800 HRs, leads, who asked us, you know, they're throughout the United States. Can I have somebody, you know, can I have some do New York City?
For our audience sake, SHRM is?
Society of Human Resource Management.
Okay, and they now understand that they have 404C issues. They get
Every one of those 17,000, Steve, understand 404C, hopefully. But they see how it dovetails in. But what I want you to understand is, let's get back to pure numbers. 3 days, 800 companies nationwide. Some have ran into some of our people who already knew us. Were dragging their friends. You know, we were talking to some of the nationwide executive VPs of like a Northrop Grumman that's got, 29 installations around the United States to get in. So you need to look at this, because this is an incredible thing of what we do.
Well, let me talk about the numbers here, because this is an area where when I first saw this, what you're offering, the turnkey packaging, you have all the topics done. You can even co-label into SOFA, which I think is a huge issue, because now you're actually, and I loved your explanation, we're getting paid by our we're being taken care of by our subscription. Obviously, we're getting also the ancillary one-on-one, which is what we want. It costs $2,500 for the annual subscription. So you have to lay down $2,500.
Yep.
But you also have another option. Talk about that option to be to join as well.
You can do our monthly program, which is $199, and then an initiation fee of $695. Okay, and that'll allow that individual, because we do have some upfront costs to setting up each member. I mean, we do all the branding. I mean, we have a lot involved here. So if it was me, we would only have our annual. But the reality is, the annual, I want 1 year of your life, and that gives you the opportunity to get into my coaching program. The other way is you have all the support of the people in our SOFA headquarters in San Diego. You've got the online, we've got blogs, we've got videos, coaching stuff. I mean, it's really, really good.
Okay, so I'm paying $2,500 cash for an annual, or I can opt for the $695 and
the $199 a month.
$199 a month. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So those are my two. I'm in now. I have all the access to all these studies, groups, and you're going to teach how to make the contact with the HR person or the church or the community.
Now this is important, because what I want you to hear what Steve just said is absolutely gospel. We teach you how to fish. We want you to be lifetime fishermen of the word. We want you going out there. However, we have created a program called Opportunity, and this is pretty cool. And that opportunity is made up of two parts. One is called Intro. In Intro, we do the work at SOFA headquarters and sell that lead for $400. And that lead positions you to get in to a one-on-one meeting with that HR person in your community at that company. Now, it's still up to you, being a trained SOFA member, to go over that bridge of an opening to close the deal and get in there. Okay, and that's called Intro. Now, the second program we have under the Opportunity banner is called Boost. And it's literally like as kids, we're going to give you a boost up over the wall, and you can sneak into the movies. Okay? So Boost is $1,000, and your job is to show up content ready with our stuff and present a seminar.
But you set that up.
We do everything.
Yeah.
Okay? And there are guys that, I mean, have the money and they plan their schedules, but I mean, it takes some work on our end, but we do that and we get them in. And when you're in on that company and you're doing it right, you should be getting involved the following month, the month after that, at no charge, because you've paid to get in. It's not just the seminar.
Okay, so you're joining SOFA for $2,500 or the monthly fee of $690 of the upfront $695 and $199.
And you can't get into Opportunity until you're a member.
Okay, now you're a member.
Yeah.
I can learn how to do this myself.
Totally. I want you to.
Or I could take your intro campaign, $400, and you're going to get me in front of the HR person.
Yeah.
Then it's up to me now to make the sell to see if I can get myself in.
Absolutely.
But I could, for $1,000, if I'm hearing you correctly, if I'm reading this right, for $1,000, you will book everything for this. Right now, you're booking one, right, for $1,000. So it's all done. You have a gig. There'll be so many people, X amount of people will be there, and you paid for it, and you're done.
Right. You're still a member of SOFA all year.
Right.
But you bought to get into UPS.
And so you have three opportunities. Learn it yourself, do the intro for $400, or you'll do everything for $1,000. All you have to do is get up there with your material and sell it.
Right.
I love those options. Now, you have a lot of guys doing this now. You have a lot of subscribers.
Yeah.
And you've done 9,000?
Yeah.
HR?
Hang on. The Opportunity program is only months old.
Sure.
And it's taken off. I mean, people have no problem putting out that acquisition cost to get right in. we've done SOFA to the public since 1993.
So you have about 9,000 under your belt.
Yeah.
Retail, consumer.
And when we talked about skepticism and cynicism, do you know how powerful it is for me to take, with a staple about 1/4 of an inch thick and fan it in front of you and go, Steve, those are concerns. All of these people had the same concerns when they started with us years ago, and we're still in there, and that's it.
I'm so glad you just gave me my script back. I was nervous.
Yeah, and the other thing is, with SHRM, let me share another thing with you. When we are calling on the intro program or the boost program, for opportunity, and we work at it, all of a sudden now, we're talking about, because we are really promoting very hard, our members also join SHRM at their local chapter. You use the word SHRM to an HR person with SOFA, they return every phone call back. All of a sudden, you have a place at their dinner table. I've never seen anything like it.
Okay, so you highly recommend joining the SHRM membership yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, what's that? That can't be big money, right?
No, I mean, can you imagine going in? I go into the local, there's I think there's 4 chapters in San Diego. So I go in there at a regular monthly meeting, and there's 80 women in there. And I get 15 minutes to talk about SOFA to those 80 women. And I'm giving them all, and we're swapping cards. And then I'm going back out there to visit one-on-one for 15 minutes. We're in and out in 15 minutes and lay it all out, and I'm in.
Now, of course, as you've been seeing this whole entire interview, you can see Jim's website as well as his 800 number. But as soon as we're done with this webinar, we're going to be taking some questions and answers. Jim, you'll be able to talk people to direct. I'm sure you have a lot of questions. Let me tie it up and see if we can put a bow on this. Okay, so I have a nonprofit organization, a 501c3. That has intrinsic value to the public mind.
Totally.
And we have a turnkey ready to go. You don't have to create any. There's 30 different topics. Choose one that's around your area of expertise.
Let's branch off on that just a minute. We have had over the last 10 years, some really high energy, high performing producers, that come in and say, Jim, a lot of your workshops are very basic and whatever, but that's not my deal. I'd like to know if I could use my deal, and I go, send them in. What we call is we SOFAize them, We try to take out the selling points in them. And because the personality of the person delivering is strong and that audience is sizing them up that this person really knows their stuff. So we now allow our members, if they want to use their workshop, they send it in, our compliance department goes over it, sends them back with 4 or 5 tweaks, and they have it. And then we only ask one more question. Do you want to share it with our general membership, or do you want to keep it proprietary for yourself? And it's 50-50. So that's pretty good.
Well, I like that ability. Now, you're saying that, if I just want to make sure I just heard you right, you can do customization and proprietary, but it has to go through the gauntlet of SOFA's compliance just to make sure that we've taken out the sales ideas. Or, I'm sorry, not the ideas, the actual salesy stuff that's in it.
Yeah.
And really, because we're educators now. We're educators.
Exactly right.
And so I have 3 different ways, and I just want to make sure as we're tying it up, I have 3 different ways I can participate in these seminars. I can learn how to make the contact myself and no cost there because I've already a subscriber. I could say, I want you to make the call. You guys know how to do it. You guys are good sales. $400, get me in there. I'll talk to, I know if I get one-on-one with the guy, I can do it.
Exactly.
Or some people say, my time, Steve, I just want to speak for $1,000. You put me in there. All I have to do is walk in. It's already done, ready to rock. It's on my calendar. Go.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, to me, that's a huge opportunity. Well, I want to be able to do a couple things here before we close up, Jim. You see the 800 number. You also see the actual website. But we're going to take calls here in a second just so that you can get an idea and talk to Jim direct. I want to thank Jim, though. Take a little time here. I do want to thank him for explaining this unique opportunity with the Society for Financial Awareness featuring their lead generation system with, in my opinion, this low client acquisition costs. And you can contact Jim, again, right at his 800-689-4851 or visit his website at www.socialfinancial.com. sofausa.org, and we'll take your questions right now.